Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, I've been meaning to talk about this story. It's a very big story. There's been so much going on here on the domestic front. Internationally, we are waiting to see if we are going to start a war with Iran. That looks like it's going to probably, if it does happen, will happen sometime next week. So this is the perfect time to discuss this story. The Olympics. The Olympics will officially be over Sunday night. So there's basically one weekend left. Yesterday was an incredible day for Team USA. I was pumping my fists, jumping up and down for joy. Our U.S. women's hockey team have brought glory to the country. There's no other way to put it. They played a spectacular tournament. They were the best team. They played with tremendous skill, ability, and above all, patriotism and pride. And they played against Team Canada in the gold medal, their arch rival, and it was one of the, I'm telling you, as a hockey game, both men or women, it was one of the best hockey games I have ever seen. In fact, Sandy, Mike, and I were just talking about that before we got on the air. Just as a hockey game, it had everything you wanted. It was fast. It was competitive. It was back and forth. It was exciting. It was no holds barred. It was two teams, absolutely giving their best. And the Canadians were leading late into the third period. I honestly thought Canada was going to win. I was depressed. I was, as I told Mike and Sandy, I was so freaking worried. And then, boom, Team USA came back with an incredible goal late in the third period. It went into overtime. It went back and forth. Anybody could have won. And then Team USA, I don't know if you've seen the game-winning goal in overtime. That was filthy. That was, whoa, that was a beauty of a goal. One of the most beautiful goals you'll ever see. So, and it's a wonderful thing to watch. And to see the pride on all these women waving the flag, talking about how great it is to represent the United States, the pride that they have in each other as a team, but also as Americans, and competing for the United States on the biggest stage in the world. So there's been so much to me that has impressed me about the Olympics and about our athletes competing in the Olympics. But there's another side, and it's a dark side. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And that's why now people are saying, for the United States, this is becoming now the woke Olympics. Now, the first point I want to stress is that this is only the Americans that are doing this. We're the only ones that are doing this. Other athletes from other countries, I don't care if it's Britain, France, Italy, which is the host country, Germany, China, Japan, whatever, to Canada, take your pick. We're the only ones in which athlete after athlete after athlete, it's not a majority, but it's a considerable amount of athletes that keep either running down their country abroad as they're giving interviews to the media, or they're going on about how I have such mixed emotions about representing the United States, and they're going on about freaking Minnesota and ICE and Donald Trump, sometimes even going on about abortion. It doesn't matter what the cause is. They keep interjecting not just politics, but radical far left-wing politics into their sport, into their interviews, on social media, and to put it in the jargon that these athletes put it in, they are using their quote-unquote platform to speak out. And so you've had freestyle skiers, you've had curlers, male curlers, these are Americans, who keep going on about what's happening in Minnesota, and I'm so ambivalent about representing the United States because what Donald Trump is doing, what ICE is doing, this is not who I am. This is not who we are. And so the conversation is no longer about, I don't know, winning a medal, competing, representing your country, enjoying the whole Olympic experience. No, it's another woke fest. It's another, they're turning even the Olympics into politics and into cheap woke politics. And so you have a curler, Rich Ruhonen, who in a press conference, who, you know, Team USA's done okay in men's curling, okay, but it's not, you know, even after they win a game, it's, we have to mention what's going on in Minnesota. My God, it's an atrocity. And as an American, I'm ashamed. Or you have these idiot idiot freestyle skiers, one after another. Hunter Hess, Chris Lillis, both of them saying, you know, I wear the flag, but it doesn't represent everything for me, what it should, because I don't like a lot of things that are going on in the United States. And I listen to these people. I could play you the clips. I don't even want to bore you. Honestly, I don't want to bore you. And I listen to these people and I think, do you think, I don't know, here, Great Britain, okay, they've got a very good curling team. Do you think the curlers of Great Britain, the female curlers of Great Britain, you think they agree with everything that Keir Starmer is doing to Britain right now? He's one of the lowest rated prime ministers in British history. His popularity is in the dumpster. I guarantee you, most of the British athletes think the guy's a loser and driving his country into the ground. Do they hold press conferences? Oh, I'm embarrassed to be British. I have the British flag, but my God, Keir Starmer, what he's doing to Britain. Nobody cares what your political views are. And more importantly, it's not appropriate for you at the Olympics to use your platform and to turn it into a political rant or to attack your country's government. Because most people around the world have criticisms of their own government. But when they go to the Olympics, they understand one fundamental fact. You're representing your country. You're representing the flag. You're representing your homeland. That transcends politics. That transcends the current or whatever government is in power. We used to understand that. We don't. It's, as I said to someone yesterday, we were talking about this. I said, you know, it's like going to someone's wedding. And then all of a sudden going on and getting up there and, you know, instead of giving a speech about the bride and the groom, you start going on a political rant. Oh, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about ICE, what they're doing in Minnesota. Trump, I hate him. Now, the left in this country keeps saying, well, they have a right to do that. They have a right to do that. They have a right to speak their mind. Yeah, you have the right. No one says you don't have the right. But don't get surprised when you get massive blowback. Again, if you got up at someone's wedding and you turned it into a political rant or a political screed, someone's going to walk up to you and say, listen, this is not appropriate. You're ruining the wedding for everybody. We didn't come here to talk politics. We didn't come here to hear this is not the Democratic National Convention. We didn't come here this is not a Kamala Harris rally. So if you can't talk about the couple, get off the stage. Get off the stage. That's exactly what I say to these Olympians, these woke leftist Olympians. We don't care what you think about politics. Shut up and skate. Shut up and ski. Shut up and compete. Everyone else in the world seems able to do that, except for you. Now, it's gotten to the point, Okay? It's gotten to the point where there is so much criticism by our own athletes. And again, I want to stress this. These aren't other athletes from other countries denouncing the United States. These are our athletes denouncing their own country, and in particular, ICE or Trump or some political issue that they're all upset about. That the United States is now being portrayed by the media in this country as the new Russia, the new villain in sports. Listen now. These are two moonbats, okay, two journalists. This is a New York Magazine reporter, Will Leitch, and CNN host Audie Cornish. Okay, I don't have time. I want to play it on the other side. But basically, they're saying now America is becoming a supervillain like Russia when it comes to the Olympics. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me ask all of you. Again, as you know, I rarely do sports, and I only do sports not as a kind of sports analyst because that's not my niche. It's not my forte. It's not my strength. Far from it. But when it relates to culture, and especially when it relates to America and American culture. And so everyone is now dubbing this the woke Olympics, not because everyone at the Olympics is woke, only because some members, a strident minority on Team USA, have become extremely woke. And they are speaking out, and it's causing ripple effects everywhere. For example, you have a female figure skater who, by the way, did not do well, but she, on the American side, an American, who went on and on about how she's a lesbian and she's got a lesbian partner and she's there to defend LGBTQ rights. And then she began to denounce the Trump administration right there at a press conference, making a big, it was a big thing. And, how this is a low point for the LGBTQ community. They feel oppressed under Trump, blah, blah, blah. And so it's like a media circus around these people. And that just feeds even more press and media attention, not just here in the United States, but internationally. Because reporters from around the world are like, what's going on? Because you got all these athletes now criticizing Trump or an aspect of the Trump administration, and we're all in Milan thinking this is supposed to be about sports, but apparently are things that bad in America that they're worse than anywhere else in the world? Because no one else is complaining about what's happening in their own country, but apparently these Americans are saying it's unlivable. And, by the way, she ended up finishing, I believe, 13th. And maybe you should have spent less time on politics and on social media and on using your quote-unquote platform to denounce Trump, and maybe a little bit more time focusing on your skating, and maybe you could actually have meddled. I'm just thinking out loud here, okay? But anyway, it's gotten to the point now that the media, especially in this country, is saying the United States, by the way, primarily because of what ICE is doing, deporting criminal illegal aliens. Violent, dangerous criminal illegals. And all these woke idiots posing as athletes can't stop talking about it at the Olympics. So it's gotten to the point now that they say the United States has become a supervillain. In sports, especially at the Olympics, replacing Russia, what the Soviet Union used to be, is now the United States. This is Will Leitch, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He is a reporter for New York Magazine, big lefty publication, and of course, CNN. CNN host Audie Cornish. Roll cut 51, Mike.
Russia has been basically banned from the world stage for basically since the Ukraine invasion. And I kind of posited the idea that is there a time where the U.S., if things continue on the way they're going, they start to become kind of the pariah on the global sports stage the way that Russia has?
Right. Or global villain. I like that term. I really like that term because so much of international sporting events, they're just storytelling, right? Because they're trying to get you interested if you are a person who doesn't care about that particular sport.
I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, these people are sick. They really are. They're sick. And honestly, it's a frightening thing to watch. On the one hand, it's very funny. It really is. It's almost comical because these people are so delusional and so ignorant and so stupid that you just, you laugh at them. Really, you laugh at them. They're so uninformed, so misinformed that you laugh. But on the other hand, the power of brainwashing, the power of media indoctrination and media manipulation, it's frightening. It really is. America as the supervillain on the world stage? What? Now, to me, this is the story that I think sums up the woke Olympics perfectly, to a T. And in some ways, it sums up the Democratic Party, the left, and in many ways, the corrupt, treasonous media. And that is the skier, the Olympian skier, Eileen Gu. Okay, I think this is how you pronounce her last name, Gu. She is, now, I want to stress this to you. She is now 23 years old, I believe. She's 23. She is by far the most lucrative, well-paid Olympian, whether male or female, in history. In history. This year alone, this Olympian, this woman, has made over $23 million. And that's from sponsorships. $23 million. Louis Vuitton, Porsche, Red Bull, Victoria's Secrets. She also models. Okay, she's a skier, but she also models. She was born and raised in the United States. She is, for all intents and purposes, an American. Right? You're born here. She was born in San Francisco. She was raised here. She actually goes to Stanford University. She also studies. But she's competing for communist China. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Okay, so to me, as I said just before the break, what to me really is symbolizes the new woke American athlete. And in many ways, the Democratic Party, the media, the left, is Eileen Gu. She is by far the best paid Olympian in the world, both men and women. This is indisputable. Forbes magazine reported that she, just this year alone, has made over $23 million. She is a skier as well as a model, and she goes to Stanford University. Now, most of that $23 million was through sponsorships and, as I mentioned, Louis Vuitton, Porsche, Tiffany and Company, Red Bull. It's the who's who of corporate America, Victoria's Secrets. She goes to Stanford University. Now, this is a woman who was born in San Francisco. She is born and raised in America. But she competes for communist China. In fact, communist China paid her $6 million as part of a deal to have her compete at the Olympics, not for the United States, but for China. And by the way, I think she got, what is it, Mike? Is it 2 silver medals or 1 silver medal? Anyway, she's gotten some medals at the Olympics, and I believe it's 2 silver. Don't quote me on that. But she got several medals. That's not going into Team USA's column. That's going into China's column. She skis and represents the flag of Communist China, the nation of Communist China. And she is nothing more than a paid tool of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay? $6 million that we know of. They paid her and said, will you represent us? She's ethnically Chinese. And so they're saying, look, you're ethnically Chinese. Hey, you're one of us. And she said, sure, yes. Now, this woman is a traitor. If no one else has, I'm looking around the room. I'm like, why is nobody stating the obvious? She is an absolute traitor. This country has been incredibly good to you. You were born in this country. You were raised in this country. You live a lifestyle that and she's 23 years old. This woman still potentially has another 10, 15 years in sports ahead of her. She's going to make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And you can't even represent the United States of America? You bow down to communist China and you take their filthy money and represent them? Now, not only is she representing them, but she's another one of these quote-unquote woke athletes that the media coddles, loves, and gives a platform to. And she's basically spewing Chinese propaganda, communist Chinese propaganda. She runs down the United States. She's another one about ICE. She goes on about abortion, by the way, how we need to have more abortions. She'll never have an abortion. She's going on about, I'll get to the abortion part a little bit later, but let's put it this way. She's extremely pro-abortion. And she goes on and on that she will never forgive Donald Trump for putting justices on the court that overturned Roe v. Wade. So this is a woman that can't keep her mouth shut when it comes to bashing the United States of America. Okay, this is sick. This woman is sick. Now, listen to her. This is at a press conference. Yeah, she lost. She competed in 2 events. She was favored to win both of them gold medals. She did not get the gold medal. I believe they were silvers. But anyway, she didn't get the gold. And just look at this narcissistic woman, okay? Look at her answer. They said, well, you're very political. You're very outspoken in your defense of communist China. You obviously keep going on about how bad the United States is. What happened? You were favored to win. You didn't win. Roll cut 50. Mike.
Do you see these as 2 silvers gained or 2 golds lost?
I'm the most decorated female free skier in history. I think that's an answer in and of itself. How do I say this? Winning a medal at the Olympics is a life-changing experience for every athlete. Doing it 5 times is exponentially harder because every medal is equally hard for me, but everybody else's expectations rise, right? And so the 2 medals lost situation, to be quite frank with you, I think is kind of a ridiculous perspective to take. I'm showcasing my best skiing. I'm doing things that quite literally have never been done before, and so I think that is more than good enough. But thank you.
I mean, you want to talk about a narcissist. Oh, is this woman full of herself or what? Huh? I've accomplished things no one's ever done in my sport. I walk on water. Hell, I would say I'm Jesus reincarnated, but my CCP masters would shoot me for that because it's an officially atheistic state. But you know what I mean, wink, wink. I'm divine. This woman, I'm telling you, ay. You know what? If she ever gets married, I'm telling you, I feel sorry for the husband. Oh, my God. You got to listen to this every day, every freaking day? I'm great. No, I'm really great. No, there's no one greater than me. I'm great. Please, bow in front of me. Bow. I need you to bow. Ay. J.D. Vance was asked by Martha McCallum on Fox, what do we do with someone like Eileen Gu? Born in America, raised in America, predominantly lives in America, although she does go back to China quite often. The CCP use her as a huge propaganda tool, and they pay her very well to do so. But primarily she lives in the United States. She goes to Stanford University. What do you do with American athletes who decide they want to compete for communist China? Roll cut 53, Mike.
Eileen Gu is skiing for China. You were at the Olympics, at the Open. Enes Kanter has said she's a traitor. Some people have said that this is a treasonous to ski for China and to overlook Jimmy Lai and the Uyghurs and pretend like those things aren't problems is a huge problem. What do you think her status should be? Should it be changed?
Well, look, I'm not gonna. I have no idea what her status should be. I think that's ultimately up to the Olympics committee. I won't pretend to wade into that. I certainly think that somebody who grew up in the United States of America, who benefited from our education system, from the freedoms and liberties that make this country a great place, I would hope that they want to compete with the United States of America. So I'm going to root for American athletes, and I think part of that is people who identify themselves as Americans.
Yeah, JD, look, I agree with you, but I would have gone even further. I'm with Enes Kanter on this. He's a former professional basketball player, originally from Turkey. He knows what a real oppressive regime is, and Turkey is a very oppressive regime. Okay, it is an it's an Islamic dictatorship led by this thug Erdogan, and Kanter has defected, and he now lives in the United States. And you want to talk about someone who appreciates the freedoms and liberties of this country, it's Kanter. And he has publicly spoken out against Eileen Gu, saying she's a traitor, which she is. Now, I'll be honest. If Eileen Gu wants to be an athlete for China and wants to compete for China and wants to take the money from the Chinese Communist Party, then go to China. I don't want you in the United States. You want to be a traitor to our nation, then be a traitor to our nation, but suffer the consequences of your action. And I would say, I'm sorry. You're not welcome in the United States. Okay, let me ask all of you, not just about Eileen Gu. Obviously, to me, it's disgusting what this woman is doing and has done. An American citizen, American born, American raised, competing for communist China. And by the way, never criticizes communist China for imprisoning opponents of the regime like Jimmy Lai, who now has been rotting in a jail cell in Hong Kong, the publisher of the Apple Daily in Hong Kong, one of the leading pro-democracy newspapers, or was one of the leading pro-democracy, pro-freedom newspapers in China. They have closed it down, arrested reporters, editors, and now the owner, Jimmy Lai, has been given essentially a death sentence, 20 years in jail. Or the genocide of the Uyghurs, or the brutality and the police state tactics unleashed against Christians and the Falun Gong. Notice, she doesn't criticize communist China for that. No. ICE, yes. Donald Trump, yes. But the genocidal brutality of communist China, no. Nearly 2 million Uyghurs are now being put through death camps in Western China, where the women are being systematically raped. The men are being systematically indoctrinated. Many of them are being tortured, beaten, and eventually murdered. And yet, when asked in a profile piece for Time magazine, Eileen Gu said, I'm not kidding, it's none of my business. That's not my business. What communist China does is not my business. So, but what America does, that is your business. Because the flag you're flying under is not America, it's China. The country that's counting your medals as part of their team is not America, it's China. The money you're taking, the $6 million, that didn't come from America, the American government. You took government money from the CCP, from Communist China. But no, suddenly then she's an agnostic. She doesn't want to talk about politics. You phony, you fraud, you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very, very quick. This is Mark on Messenger, and he makes an absolutely dynamite point. Jeff, it's funny. There are athletes in the Olympics from Ukraine, yet you don't hear them complaining about anything, and they've got a lot to complain about. But they're there to play a sport, and that's it. This country needs to stop bowing to the woke bullcrap. It needs to end. The Olympics is supposed to bring us together, not divide us. It is unbelievable. For 2 freaking weeks, we just can't all be on the same team. It's unbelievable, Jeff. You know, Mark, I couldn't have said it better myself, really. You know, for 2 weeks, we can't just play for Team USA. Just for all I'm asking from you woke liberals out there is just for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, can you put aside your hatred of Trump or ICE or your leftism and come together, all of us as Americans, and let's pull and root for one another and hopefully get as many medals as we can and represent our country with class and with dignity and with patriotism? I mean, are we asking, is this now, it's too much for you? You can't do that? Is it just too much? I watch sports in general to relax. And by the way, I go to the movies. It's the same thing. When I go to a movie, when I watch sports, when I watch the Olympics, I go to escape politics. I don't want to hear about issues of the day, news, what's going on here in America or around the world. Why? Because I get it 24/7. So I don't want to hear it when I'm trying to escape from the problems of the world. And frankly, even, you know, look, I'm a very happy man. Don't get me wrong. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love my job. But, you know, the stresses of life, I want to get away from it for a couple hours. I want to decompress. I want to relax. I want to escape. So you can't even give us that? Honestly, it's getting to the point where, and this is what I want to ask all of you. I've watched some of the Olympics. Mostly, honestly, it's the hockey and the curling, if you want to know the truth. Okay? Everything else doesn't interest me. But it's getting to the point I've watched less of the Olympics now than I have in the past. And every 2 or 4 years, whatever it is, when it's summer and winter Olympics, I watch less and less and less. Why? Because I'm tired of this. It's this. I don't want to hear this. So, for example, I'm not rooting for the men's USA curling team. Why? Because I don't want to support these woke idiots. Many of these skiers, I'm not rooting for them. It's ruining my experience watching. And so I'm watching less of the Olympics. And frankly, I care less about the Olympics. Because these left-wing athletes, these woke American athletes, are ruining it. They're poisoning it for everybody. And so what I want to ask you is, I want to go to the phones, 617-266-6868. One, what do you make of Eileen Gu competing for Communist China, taking massive amounts of money from Communist China? What do you think the repercussions should be for her, if any? And the woke Olympics. Are you like me? Shut up and skate. Shut up and ski. Shut up and compete. I don't want to hear your stupid political views. Are you Are you are you turned off by the woke Olympics? And are you losing interest in watching the Olympics? Is it turning you off? 617-266-6868 is the number. Angelo in Rockland. You're going to kick us off, Angelo. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, USA. You know, all the people that are playing for the United States that are proud patriots and playing, God bless them and do your thing. That skier is not worthy of the gold. She can ski all she wants, but she's bought and sold like the Democrats from China, and she's not worthy of the gold. That being said, the woke judges might give her a gold because I said that. But anyway, good luck to them. If you want to be woke, you want to do whatever you want. I'm just a normal married guy with a beautiful family, and I'm not holding my flag saying you have to like it. And if I want a nose job, I got to pay for it out of my pocket. Being woke, being transgender, you want to become a boy, girl, do it with your own pockets. We don't care what you do. Just do what you do, work hard, live your life, and we don't care. Yous are bringing this upon us. Good luck to you. That being said, you know, Jeff, one other thing I want to say, because I get so fired up, that voting, you definitely have to have a license, proof of citizenship. I have a license to carry since I've been 18. Now, if you don't have to vote, I mean, if you have to have an ID to vote, why do I don't need a license to carry if they don't need an ID to vote.
Well, that's an excellent point. I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked. I want to stick to, you know, the Olympics and this woke culture that's poisoning everything. But no, you're right. Look, we have a Second Amendment, just like we have a First Amendment. And yet they have no problem telling you exactly you need to have a concealed carry license if you want to carry a gun. So you have to, and by the way, you have to show all kinds of ID if you want to purchase a gun. So now that's a constitutionally given right, a constitutionally protected right. So again, they can do that for everything except voting. And Angelo, look, I think it's pretty obvious. I think the whole country knows the Democrats are cheating. And that's why they don't want voter ID. It's obvious. And so they're putting up, it's one bogus, ridiculous argument after another. And, and it goes back to Eileen Gu. Okay, let's just bring it all full circle. The Democratic Party is bought and paid for by communist China. Let's come on, let's put our cards on the table. So, they bought Joe Biden. They bought Hunter Biden. They bought Kamala Harris. Tim Walz is swimming in Chinese money, CCP money. Whoever's going to be the next Democratic presidential candidate, I don't care if it's Kamala, I don't care if it's Gavin Newsom, I don't care if it's AOC, they are all beholden to communist China. That's why they don't want to say, that's why AOC didn't know what to answer at the Munich Security Conference. I'm not defending her. But the reason why she froze and she's not going to defend Taiwan. Remember, Bernie Sanders has openly said communist China is the new motherland. It used to be the Soviet Union. It's now the Tricoms. So, AOC, Bernie, Mamdani, all of them, they bow to communist China. The Democrats bow to communist China. Much of the media is owned by communist China. That's why, notice, look, you want a new supervillain on the world stage. It's very obvious. It's communist China. I could do 4 hours on crime upon crime upon crime. Their regime is directly involved in organ harvesting. Okay, they kill people, cut up their bodies, and sell their kidneys and their livers, their kidneys, their hearts on the black market for top dollar. That's the regime. They are committing a genocide against an entire people right now, the Uyghurs in China. There's no discussing this. There's no debating it. It's so well documented. They are crushing one religious group after another. They're imprisoning any political dissidents, any opponents of the regime, anybody who dares to speak out. Don't talk to me about ICE and Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Have you any idea if you dare oppose this regime, what happens to you in communist China? They have millions now, millions in gulags, in slave labor camps. You just look at them the wrong way and boom, you're in prison. Now, and by the way, and they're the ones who are trying to dominate the world. I'm just calling it as it is. They're buying influence in every country. They're engaged in the biggest military buildup in human history. They're spying on the United States. They're stealing our intellectual property. They're stealing our research and development. They have stolen trillions of dollars of our wealth. They lie and cheat in every single trade agreement that we have. I mean, I could go on and on and on. There is no democracy in China. It's one-party rule. You can't even form a political party to oppose the regime. You get thrown in jail, tortured, beaten, and you're lucky if you're not killed. Now, where's Eileen Gu? Nowhere. ICE. Renee Good. You should see her. This is for Renee. Oh, blank off. Like, you people disgust me. Seriously. And you're so freaking rich. This country's been so good to you. You made more money than your parents or your grandparents or your ancestors could ever have imagined. And you go and represent China? You go and bow to them? You carry their flag? You defend their nation? You represent them? Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. And the media loves her. She's a freaking media superstar. NBC is, because NBC is carrying the Olympics. They're gushing. Eileen Gu. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening to us as a country, but where's our pride? Where's our self-respect? Where's our dignity, man? She's a traitor. And look, this is why I respect, I respect a guy like Enes Kanter. I don't like, generally, I'm not a big fan of Turkey, and I'm certainly not of the Ottoman Empire, and I'm not a fan of Erdogan and the Turkish regime. But this is a man who actually experienced real repression, who knows what it's like to live in a real dictatorship. And he's one of the few people with the guts to state the obvious. I want you to listen now to Enes Kanter. He goes on Fox. Now, my question to you is, why is it Jeff Kuhner and now Enes Kanter, we have to call Eileen Gu a traitor? How come nobody else in the media is calling Eileen Gu a traitor? Because what, you're afraid of being called a racist? Because that idiot Bill in Sudbury is going to call in and say, you're saying awful things. Oh, my God, she's Chinese. That's racism. No, a traitor is a traitor is a traitor. And I don't care if you're white, black, Latino, Asian, male, female, young, old, gay, straight. I don't care. A traitor is a traitor is a traitor. Listen now to Enes Kanter on Eileen Gu. Roll cut 54. Mike.
I'm just going to say it. She's a traitor. You know, she was born in America. She raised in America, lives in America, and choose to compete against her own country for literally the worst human rights, abuser on the planet, China. She built her fame in a free country and then choose to represent an authoritarian regime, which, while chasing endorsement deals, linked by watching dog groups and mass detention and forced labor camps, she chose to play for a country literally responsible for the deaths of tens of millions of his own people. and literally running a concentration camp while we are talking. And instead of the country where she was born and given the opportunity. So you don't just get to enjoy freedom of U.S. as citizenship while acting literally a global PR asset for the Chinese Communist Party.
Ennis, I mean, you and we're brothers from another mother, my friend. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. You're so right. She should be kissing the American flag. Her parents should be kissing the American flag. 23 million. That's this year alone. That, by the way, she won gold in 2022. She's been raking in cash now for 4 or 5, 6 years. She's made over $100 million. She's 23 years old. But she took the big 6 million from the Chinese Communist Party. And once they gave her that 6 million, they own you. And now she's doing the bidding of the CCP on the world stage. Why is she not a pariah? Why is she not being called out? Why is she not being shamed for what she's done? Instead, the left loves her, and the media lionizes and glorifies her. That's what I mean when I say, to me, she's become a symbol of the woke Olympics and of everything that is wrong with liberals, Democrats, and honestly, the media today. They're traitors. Thank you so much for that call, Angelo. Agree, disagree? Dave in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
As you say, you're 1,000% correct, and I'm calling from what used to be known as the Live Free or Die. Now it's the New Hampshire Demokratische Republik, like the Deutsche Demokratische Republik East Germany, and Massachusetts is the Soviet Union. Здравствуйте, доброе утро. So, but I think this strategy is very intentional. It's somewhat much more insidious. It's part of a ethno-nationalism, transboundary, worldwide. It's the new Comintern was to the Soviet Union as this new policy is to CCP, because you're Chinese anywhere in the world. We own you, and we're going to take advantage of your skill sets, and we're going to influence at you at a very young age so that you think that the Chinese motherland is your real. So it's an ethno-nationalism where the Han Chinese are at the top of the food pyramid, and they literally despise everybody else. I'm sorry to put it that way, but it really does appear to be that way. And it's occurring everywhere, in the U.S., Europe. It's a very calculated, and on their, I completely disagree with what they're doing, but it's a brilliant strategy on their part to brainwash people at an early age and get them to work for Mother China.
Well, and think about it now. It's gotten to the point that they've infiltrated our universities. They've infiltrated Congress. They've infiltrated completely the Democratic Party. They've infiltrated now a good part of the Republican Party, i.e. Mitch McConnell, and others, a complete, obvious example. And now they're starting to infiltrate sports to the point now that arguably one of the most recognizable American athletes in the world is now an open mouthpiece for the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, it's such an open mouthpiece that she's switched sides. She's taken up Chinese citizenship, and she competes for China. And when the Chinese anthem plays and the Chinese flag rolls down, when she wins an Olympic gold medal, she's literally crying for China. Now, you got to ask yourself, how does this happen? Born in San Francisco, raised in San Francisco, still lives for the most part in the United States. But her heart, her loyalty is to China? Dave, we got a problem, man. Like, no one's going to tell me that the Chinese aren't making a move on the United States. They clearly are. Okay, really, two issues I'd like to discuss with this great audience. Number one, obviously, the woke Olympics. Now, this is something no other country does, and this country never did until very recently, which is have our Olympic athletes on the world stage. Now, remember, when you're competing in the Olympics, yes, of course, you're competing for yourself, no question, but you're also representing your country. You're representing the country, its people, our nation, our flag, everything that this country stands for. And so we have never had this phenomenon, and it's only on the far left. No one else does this, whereby because they're not happy with a particular policy or policies of a government, in this case Trump, they start ranting and raving and railing against their country and saying how they have mixed emotions representing their country and they're ashamed of their country and they start bashing their country. I've never seen anything like this. As I tried to point out, every country in the world, there are problems, serious problems. And I'm telling you, most athletes usually do not support the policies of the government. You don't see them bashing their countries. Why? Because the Olympics is supposed to be above politics. It's supposed to be above current events. You know, as someone mentioned, have you noticed the Ukrainians, and boy, they have a lot to complain about. They're not going on about, do you know how much freaking corruption there is in the Zelensky regime that's now come out publicly? That's now been widely reported? Ministers are going to jail. You've got Zelensky now facing tremendous pressure to step down. Do you see Ukrainians going on about how he's a crook? He's corrupt, he's a crook, he's stealing money, lots of money. Do you see them going on about how bad Zelensky is or how corrupt his government is? Just to give you an obvious example? No, why? Because you're representing Ukraine. The people of Ukraine, the nation of Ukraine, the flag of Ukraine. It's above politics. It's above the government. I mean, it's just common. I'm just like, it's like talking to a child. And everybody, as adults, we used to understand this. The world used to understand this. That's why the world is looking at us now and saying, what's happened to these Americans? Now, all of a sudden, they just spit on their country. They're abroad, and they're supposed to be representing their country, and they're going on about ice in Minnesota? As if that's compared to most countries in the world that are competing in the Olympics with their human rights abuses? Are you kidding me? By the way, again, those were two justified shootings. Okay, but let that go. Even if you thought they were unjustified, okay? There are injustices in every country all the time. So by your logic, all athletes should be protesting nonstop. We shouldn't be doing sports. We should just be doing protests. I mean, the whole thing is becoming insane. Now, so in other words, has this wokeism now just gone so far that it's poisoning the Olympics, it's ruining the Olympics experience, and is it affecting you? Do you care less about the Olympics? Are you losing interest or have you lost interest? Because you just don't want to hear these woke idiots. And by the way, why they think we care about their politics is beyond me. That's why I say, it goes from Laura Ingram's book, Shut Up and Sing. You go to a concert, I'm there to listen to your music. I'm not there to listen to your political rant. You know nothing about politics. You're badly informed. We're not here to listen to you talk about. That's not why we paid that ticket. Okay, we didn't pay $100 a ticket or $200 a ticket or whatever to listen to you rant about politics. We came here so you can put on a show and play your songs. Well, we're watching you to skate. We're watching you to ski. We're watching you to whatever, curl or whatever it is. We're not watching you to listen about your uninformed opinion about whether it be abortion or Trump or the LGBTQ community or about transgender rights or about Minnesota or about ICE or about Alex Preddy or whatever. I mean, you know, you're not, trust me, you're not that smart, you're not that interesting. Eileen Gu, listen now to this. She got $6 million from the CCP just in 2025 alone. Okay, just last year alone, she got $6 million. But she's received nearly $14 million over the last 3 years. So $6 million was just last year. But over the last 3 years, the Chinese Communist Party has paid her $14 million. And she does go to China. Not often, but she does go. They parade her. She goes on television. She holds events. And when she's in China, she says she's Chinese. I mean, that she's a Chinese citizen. That she feels Chinese in her heart. That she identifies as Chinese. And that she believes, you know, she says, I am a citizen of China. That's why I want to compete in the Olympics for China. The problem is, China, according to their laws, does not recognize dual nationality. In other words, you can't be a citizen of China and a citizen of the United States. So I think the problem now with Eileen Gu, if you're a citizen of China, then do you have to renounce your American citizenship? Because according to their laws, you can't be both. And you're representing them. But when she's in America, and now she's at Stanford University, she says she's she's an American citizen. Okay, let me ask you. We're willing to go where few in the media are willing to go. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Should Eileen Gu lose her U.S. citizenship for competing on the China Olympic team? A, yes. B, no. So let me ask again. And remember, she's a Chinese citizen, or so she claims, as well as an American citizen. And in China, the law there is crystal clear. You cannot hold dual nationality. You can't hold dual citizenship. So if you're a citizen of China, you cannot be a citizen of any other country, including the United States. So when she's in China, she says she's Chinese and a proud citizen of China. When she's here, of course, she's an American citizen. So, to me, I'm sorry, pick one. And if you want to compete for China as she has, and represent China as she has, and, you know, be a traitor to the United States, I think you've made your choice, then, yeah, I think she should lose her citizenship. And remember, she's taken now, what is it, 14 million and counting directly from the Chinese Communist Party? You know, if it walks like a traitor, talks like a traitor, acts like a traitor, it's a traitor. So let me ask the question again. Should Eileen Gu lose her citizenship, U.S. citizenship, for competing on the China Olympic team? A, yes, and I'm a yes all the way on this one. I'm a hell yes. Or do you believe, no, Jeff, she was born in America, raised in America, she's a natural-born American citizen, you can't take away her citizenship no matter how much we can't stand her. So, A, yes, B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. As always, and again, I was active on X. You can vote on X. My handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner N is in National ER. Aaron in Nevada. Thanks for holding, Aaron, and welcome.
By the way, Jeff, about that hockey game last night between Team USA and Canada, Hillary Knight was the one who scored the game-tying goal, and she is from Idaho.
Okay.
I didn't want to call you after the Super Bowl to rub it in that my Seahawks won because I like you. Anyway, it's not just these left-wing athletes. A lot of leftists are saying this. Trump has taken my rights away. Trump has taken my rights away. What rights have been taken away from you? Now, here's where I disagree with you and Laura Ingraham. I don't believe in shut up and sing or shut up and dribble. I believe in, okay, you just made a political statement, now back it up. Miss Goose says, Trump took away my right to an abortion. Nobody in the press is calling her out on it. You're from San Francisco, California. You want an abortion so badly, you can go get one right now. Abortion is still legal in the state of California. Gay athletes, the LGBT athletes. You mentioned that one lesbian skater. Sorry, I forgot her name. She was waving the rainbow flag, not the American flag, at her practice skates. Another skater did the same thing. Now, the good news is they did terrible. One of the athletes came in 14th place. But that woman, she said that Donald Trump is eroding LGBT rights. We're losing gay rights under Trump. No one from the press is saying specifics, please. What rights did you have under Biden that you no longer have under Trump? I don't know if she's married or not, but could you get married to another woman under Biden? Yes. Can you go right now and get married to another woman under Trump? Yes. With the exception of sex change operations for minors, Trump has changed nothing. It's just he won't do what Biden does, which is decorate the White House with rainbow flags. Now, why are so many of these American athletes spitting on America? I'll tell you why. This is the post-9/11 generation, and all they have been taught to do is hate their own country, not just from society, but from our schools. And that is a failure on our part, of the conservatives and Republicans. For 50 years, the left took over education. It started with the Vietnam War. The hippies never left the colleges. Then they took over the high schools in the 90s, then the elementary schools in the 2010s. When did conservatives finally take education seriously? When drag queens showed up. That was your last straw? I remember 20 years ago. Remember the news stories that, hey, schools aren't keeping track of scores anymore. They're holding sports where there are no winners and losers, and even the person in last place gets a trophy. How do Republicans react to that? Oh, ha, ha, that's funny. I remember 20 years ago, teachers flat out said, oh, no, we're not having winners and losers anymore because capitalism is evil. We want to teach them that we should live in a society without winners and losers. That should have been our wake-up call. These are the children, again, they're in their 20s. Most of these athletes are in their 20s and 30s. These are the children of the woke education system. And you're shocked that they're dissing America? I'm not. And by the way, a poll was taken recently, and even Bill Maher called this out. Only 1 out of 5 Democrats under the age of 30 say they're proud to be American. 55% of Democrats, registered Democrats in their 20s, say they're embarrassed to be Americans. Again, we have a hate America generation. It's cool. It's cool and it's hip to diss your own country.
Aaron, I got to tell you, man, this is, I mean, it's a shame you called on Friday, because this is the call of the week. I mean, Mike does the call of the week Thursday night. So, but had you called yesterday, this is call of the week. I mean, Aaron, you hit everything. You hit every single point, my friend. This wasn't a home run. This is what we call a grand slam. Aaron, have a wonderful weekend. I couldn't have said it better myself. Woke generation from a woke education system who have been taught to hate their own country. And now you're seeing it at the Olympics on the world stage. And as an American, I can just I find it embarrassing. I find it humiliating, and I find it embarrassing. And I want to stress this. This is so important. We're the only ones who do this. No other country does this. and they have much bigger problems, much greater injustices, much worse pasts than we do. But their athletes don't do that. And our athletes historically never did that. So again, this woke mind virus, it's like a cancer. It just spreads and spreads and destroys and destroys. Thank you so much for that call, Aaron. 617-266-6868. And let me just say one other thing. Hate is very bad. Okay, it's like saying the sky is blue. But nothing is worse than self-hate. Okay, by the way, nothing good ever comes from hate. It corrodes your soul. It corrodes your character. By the way, it makes you miserable. People who are full of hate are miserable. They're unhappy, miserable human beings. I mean, there's nothing positive about hate. And as a devout Christian, let me be frank with you, I'm taught to love, not to hate. That hate is the worst thing possible. To reject hate. No matter how tempted you are at times, you have to reject hate. But the worst kind of hate is self-hate. Self-hatred is the worst kind of hatred. It is a really good text, 603 up from New Hampshire. By the way, you can text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. And about all of these, woke, anti-American, athletes from our own team, Team USA, that just can't stop bashing and bad-mouthing their own country while they're in Milan, in northern Italy, competing for our country. And 603 makes a really good point about their psychological makeup. Jeff, what these Olympic athletes are actually doing when they're publicly running down America is putting themselves above their own country. And let me explain what I mean. When leftists engage in this shameful act of virtue signaling, what they are trying to do is publicly separate themselves from the very entity that they are supposed to be representing. Yes, I'm an American, but I'm not one of those Americans. You see, Jeff, they think they're better than that. It's a way of selflessly elevating themselves above the perceived injustices, all while publicly patting themselves on the back for their great sense of virtue and doing it for all to see. It is petty, extremely small, highly disloyal, and honestly, at the root of it, it is steeped in personal cowardice. In times past, that sort of conduct would be seen as disgraceful and shameful. But today, they're applauded for it by the left because the left has no shame. Bingo. Bingo. 603, you're a genius. I'm telling you. Okay, if your mother didn't tell you, I'm telling you, you are a genius. Think about it. What is Eileen Gu? Or, these freestyle skiers or these male curlers or whatever, all these idiots, or that ice skater who's going on about LGBTQ rights. What are they really saying? They're saying, I'm better than everybody. I'm better than America. I'm above America. I'm selfless. I'm perfect. I have no flaws. I have no vices. I have no sins. But they don't do anything. I don't know. Do they work at a soup kitchen? Do they help the poor? Do they truly give of themselves for others? No, they're the most selfish Eileen Gu. What has Eileen Gu done with the 100 million that she's made? And the 14 million that the Chinese Communist Party have given her? Has she, like a good commie, has she given it to the poor? Has she given it to the needy, to the disabled, to the working class? No. You got to see the mansion this woman lives in. You got to see the cars that she drives. So they're the most selfish, narcissistic people on the planet. By the way, most of them with a disastrous personal life. You'd be thinking like, hey, if I were you, I wouldn't be virtue signaling. Tend to your own garden, okay? Tend to yourself and your family. Okay, but let that go. So, yeah, it's easy. I can, if I judge every country by the standards of absolute perfection, well, then no country in the world is good enough for me. So, what, you're perfect? No. Nobody's perfect. Outside of Jesus, nobody's perfect. I'm sorry to tell you this. By the way, even saints, to show you how stupid these people are. Everyone thinks, well, I'm not a saint. Well, actually, saints many of them led really bad reprobate lives. And then they changed and they transformed themselves. So even saints weren't perfect. So my point being is, nobody's perfect. So don't pretend and act like every country should be perfect, stupid. So the standard you judge a country by is not some abstract standard of perfection that no human being can attain, that no country or society can attain. Compare America to every other country in the world. The real world. We're the greatest country in the history of the world. And that's why I keep saying, if you can't represent this flag, if you can't represent this country, if you can't stand, when they were kneeling for the national anthem, if you can't stand for this anthem, then tell me, what country can you stand for? Name me another country, and I'm telling you, not to be arrogant, I'm just stating the facts. No one will measure up to the United States. Period. Full stop. And let me just say one last thing. Team USA today, the men's hockey team now, they're playing Slovakia. Mike, 3 o'clock you said, right? Our time? Okay, Mike's pretty sure today, 3 o'clock our time. If we're off, forgive me. We didn't, don't quote me on this, but it looks like it's going to be, we think 3 o'clock. 3:10, okay. 3:10 our time, Eastern Standard Time. They win, they go to the gold medal game. They go to the gold medal game. Most likely to play Canada. And I think it's going to be another great game. Okay? Like the women's hockey final. A great game. My point is this. To get to this game with Slovakia, they had to win in overtime against Sweden. Okay, against the Swedes. And the Swedes are good. A lot of professional hockey players, NHL players on Sweden. That's a good team. Believe me, they can skate, they can play. They got a good goalie. It was a really good, close game. My point being, we won in overtime. The player who scored the winning overtime goal, Quinn Hughes, afterwards said, "You don't understand how proud I am to have scored this goal for this team and this country. When I wear the USA jersey, I know that I'm wearing the jersey and I am representing the flag of the greatest nation that's ever existed on earth." Okay, that's practically a verbatim quote. And on social media, praise erupted. Like, thank you. Finally, A, someone speaking the truth, and B, somebody speaking up for the United States. Quinn Hughes is 1,000% correct. It is an honor of a lifetime, a privilege of a lifetime. Honestly, look, I'm a lousy athlete. Okay? Mike and I were joking. We should go into bobsledding or the luge because, I'm a big guy. just stick me in a bobsled and maybe I'll go down the fastest and I can win a medal or maybe even a gold medal. Or stick me on that, the luge. You just sit back and curl your feet and just go right down the ice. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's a sport? Mike and I have been joking about this the last 2 weeks. We should get into bobsledding, Mike, or the luge. If we want a gold medal, Mike, we can do it. Mike's a big guy. I'm a big guy. We got 2 more big guys. That's a bobsled team. Gold medal, here we come. But, all kidding aside, I would give my left arm to represent the United States at an Olympic competition. Are you kidding me? To represent the greatest country in the history of the world? Do you know what an honor that is? What a unique privilege that is? And that's why I look at these athletes that trash our nation. And honestly, I almost feel sorry for them. I really do. Because obviously, A, there's either something seriously wrong with you in the head, or you are so full of hate that you're bringing shame and disgrace to you and your family. And I'm telling you, God is going to judge you for this. God will judge you for this. Because these are people who clearly you don't see. They're not worldly people. They don't travel very much. They haven't seen much of the world. They haven't read very much. Because if you actually know history and you actually know what the world is like today, if you travel, every time you come back to America, mwah, 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 you just kiss the soil. Because I'm telling you, this is the greatest country in the world, full stop. And if you can't play for her and you can't represent her, then you can't represent any country. And on that note, 8 o'clock, Kuhner's Call Log, Caller of the Week.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Charlie.
Jeff, in answer to your question about the SAVE Act, I don't think our Republican Party will do the right thing and vote the SAVE Act in. I'm really disenfranchised with both parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, because I don't believe they work for the people anymore. I really believe that we as a country need to hold our congressmen and our senators accountable for their actions. And if that means that we have to vote every single one of them out in the next election, then let's do it. Because we can't keep doing this. It's a no-brainer with the SAVE Act. I'm 66 years old, and I went to the local liquor store, and the gentleman, was a young kid, probably brand new at the job, said to me, "Sir, I need an ID to buy this liquor." And I said to him, "I left my wallet in the car. I have my credit card with me." And he goes, "Well, no, if you don't have a picture ID, I can't sell you this alcohol." I'm sure there was another issue that came about, and this kid probably had to push the issue about me getting a picture ID. But so I looked at him and I said, "I can go to the voter polls without a picture ID and vote, but I can't get alcohol at your store without a picture ID? There's something wrong with this."
6 and 10 a.m. And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please don't be a stranger. Call again. Best audience in the business. 617-266-6868. Vince in Long Island, New York. Thanks for holding, Vince, and welcome.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, my friend.
I'm glad to hear that Rocky's doing well with the rough greens. I was wondering if you're taking the human version of that, because Big Macs and pizza don't cut it. I'm taking a lot of supplements, probiotics, and all that stuff. It's important. If it's important for Rocky, it should be important for you.
Well, Rocky's more important than me in my home. Rocky's happy, the kids are happy. The kids are happy, Grace is happy. They're happy, I'm happy. You see how it works, Vince?
The caller of the week you just mentioned, I had a similar incident. Every time I go to vote, I ask them, "Do you want to see my ID?" And they go, "No, it's okay." I said, "How do you know I didn't vote 5 or 6 times today?" and they just look at me like they're baffled, like I'm coming from the moon. It never crossed your mind? I mean, really, it's pathetic. It's really ridiculous. But what does it take to be a traitor in this country? I mean, really, we had Swalwell with Fang Fang, we had Bibbermack with his brother, we had Clinton with selling missile technology to the Chinese for peanuts, basically. And then the mental patients that they go completely berserk when Trump met Putin to try and avoid World War III. He's a traitor for doing that. And he's a traitor for taking files that he's entitled to back to Mar-a-Lago. That required treason charges and 100 years in prison. I mean, it's ridiculous. And suppose we had a war with China tomorrow. Would this so-called athlete be passing on state secrets to China if that's where her mind is at? She can't be shot. I mean, citizenship should be revoked.
Oh, I agree. Vince, I absolutely agree. I think her citizenship should definitely be revoked. And I think that's the question. I mean, no one in the media has the guts to ask her, but I would ask her, you know, look, it's very possible there's a war coming over Taiwan. Anything can happen. If China moves on Taiwan and we defend Taiwan, we will be at war with China. So, Eileen, I'd like to ask you, who's your allegiance? If there's a war between us and China, who would you side with? And I think there's no question she would side with Communist China. There's no question. So, you know, just think about this. Now, you know, even 20 years ago, if you had an athlete like this, she's finished. Finished. No endorsements. Nobody wants to hear her name. She would be shamed. She'd be a pariah. She'd be mocked. She'd be ridiculed. I'm telling you, she wouldn't even do it because her family would say, are you crazy? Like you want to destroy everything you've worked for? No. What are you doing? You were born and raised in America. You're going to represent the United States and shut up. But this is how much things have changed. She's loved and embraced by the Democrats, by NBC, by the media, by the woke left. And by the way, my God, do they love her in China? The Chinese can't believe it. Because, I mean, you know, according to, you know, for them, she's very young, she's very attractive, she's a model, she's one of the best skiers in the world. I mean, and what they're saying is, if she's for sale, who isn't for sale? And that's the sad thing. You mentioned Swalwell. The guy slept with a Chinese spy, and she stole sensitive intelligence from him because he was a member of the intelligence committee. What has happened to Swalwell? He's running for governor. No, he's kept his seat in Congress. He does media interviews all the time, and the guy's now running for governor. Nothing has happened. Like, what is it? You're right. What is it? You know, what does it take for someone to go to jail over treason, or at least pay some kind of a professional price for being a freaking traitor? Vince, dynamite call as always. Thank you, my friend. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, it's stuff like this. It's having such a negative effect, a corrosive effect, because when I read stuff like this, I shouldn't punish the whole ski team, obviously, but it's like, well, skiing is on. I don't want to watch it. Click. Well, just Eileen Gu or that other freestyle skier, or after a while you're like, you know what? You guys trashed the country. I don't want to root for you anymore. You're demoralizing me. So I don't want to root for you. I don't want to watch the Olympics. I don't care for the Olympics. Less and less and less. And as you can tell, what I get excited about is hockey and curling, because at least the curlers, say what you want, and the hockey players are really proud to represent the United States of America. So I'm like, yeah, I want to root for them. But increasingly, I'm just click, just change the channel. I don't want to watch it because I'm like, well, that one's a woke idiot. Oh, well, that one's a woke idiot. Oh, that one bashed the United States. So who wants to root for them? Now, so I just want to ask all of you, 617-266-6868, what do you make of these woke athletes at the Olympics? Do you think they have the right are they entitled? Should they be criticizing their own country? Yes, no, agree, disagree, and is it causing you to lose interest in the Olympics? Do you simply care less because of what they say and what they do? In other words, sadly, and I do say this sadly, are they spoiling it and ruining it for all the other athletes? Because you're just not interested in watching. 617-266-6868. And let me just say one last thing, and you tell me if you agree or disagree. Something has changed. Leave aside the wokeism just for a second. It's been about a good 10, 15 years, and you tell me if you're on the same wavelength with me. The Olympics seem to me to have lost some of their spark. I don't know, their luster, their importance, their grandeur. Again, I'm, a child in some ways of the Cold War. And so I remember growing up, especially in the 70s and the 80s. I'll never forget the 1980 Olympics. And obviously the men's hockey team when they beat the Soviets and then won the gold medal. But it wasn't just, I remember Eric Heiden. Remember that speed skater who won 5 gold medals? It just seemed so much more important. And it was every 4 years. And it was always us against the Soviets, the free world against the communist bloc. And almost like the Olympics was a competition, almost like a proxy Cold War about which system is superior, which system is better. But it just seemed to me that the Olympics carried so much more weight and importance and interest. And winning a gold medal was just, everybody, you win a gold medal, you're on a Wheaties box. You win a gold medal, you're a household name. I remember Mary Lou Retton in the 1984 Olympics with that big smile of hers. It was just, it was magic. I don't know these athletes. I don't care to know these athletes. Also, they've added so many more sports. To both the winter and the summer Olympics. Mike, what is the one that I saw? I actually saw the semifinals yesterday. Is it ski mountaining? What's it called? Ski mountaineering. They've invented this new sport. I'm telling you, it is so freaking stupid. You'll watch and you go, no, this is a joke, right? Like this is a spoof. No, it's a real sport. They're skiing up a hill, not down a hill, up a hill. Then they take their skis off, I swear to you, and they run upstairs. Like literally, like, Mike, what is it, 30 meters of stairs or something? Anyway, yeah, and then they take the skins off their skis, because you need that for traction to go up a hill, and then they go down the hill with their skis. Mike and I were just talking about this off air. Bobsledding, luge. There's so many of them. You're looking at this and you're like, I could do it. I think I could do it because I'm heavier and bigger. I think I can actually go down the ice even faster. Anyway, I think that's a reason why the Olympics are losing a little bit of their luster. Because, everything now is a sport. Really. Soon it's going to be making a snowman. Who makes the snowman the fastest wins the gold medal. 617-266-6868, or maybe like a snowball competition. Whatever. You get 10 snowballs and there's a target. It's just, or shoveling, snow shoveling. All right, go. It's just, they're just adding sport after sport after sport. And you're looking at this and you're like, who cares? Anyway, 8:21 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Joe in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Joe, and welcome.
Yes.
Joe.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Joe. What's on your mind, my friend?
I agree with you with this, as far as, what's her name there? And
Eileen Gu. G-U is her last name is G-U. Eileen Gu.
I mean, of course that's being a traitor. And, she should be there to represent her country. And, we go back to the patriotism of, Miracle on Ice. You have Mike Eruzione. You have all these guys, Apollo Ono. He was an Asian guy with a speed skater, but he was proud to represent this country. Today they don't care. What the problem is, Jeff? Mainstream media is so biased. They teach the kids to hate their country. Okay, they teach the kids to hate their country. I went to a bar yesterday. Everybody figured it, to watch the hockey game, the women's hockey, and I congratulate them that they won. They worked hard for that. But I thought the bar would be filled up. But like you said, the Olympics is turning up people because of the woke. But then you go back to even what, Heather said the other day. AOC, people will still vote for AOC because she's a woman, but she's radical and she's transforming this country. You got to figure what they want to do is they want to transform this country into a socialist country. And as you see all the mayors and the governors that are winning in all these different states, what are they? They're socialists. They're woke. What do we have for a governor here, Jeff? Haley, the other day, she wants to block ice. She's mad that they're building a new ice facility up in New Hampshire. We need someone like Manoj to come on your show. We need a guy like Manoj to change this state around. We're getting ripped off by the energy. We're getting ripped off by our electric bills. And then, Jeff, Clinton, Obama, and Hillary all have videos. We're a nation of laws. We're a nation of laws. Deportation, you break the law, you get deported. I would love you to play those commercials. I would love you to play those as your commercials.
Well, Joe, the thing is about the Democrats, they just don't care. I mean, you're right. Everything you said is completely right. But if you say to them, well, look what Obama said. Look what Bill Clinton said. Look what Chuck Schumer said. Look what, use their own words against them. And they just, it's a hard mentality for Americans to get. I only get it because my parents came from Eastern Europe and they had lived and suffered under the yoke of communism. And I had family members there as well. So through them, I kind of got it. It's this blind adherence to the party. It's very scary how you can substitute the party, your church religion, politics is their religion. That's what I've realized about the left. And so the party becomes their church. And the leader of the Democratic Party becomes their pope. And so they can reverse themselves and reverse themselves and reverse themselves, and they don't care. They literally don't care. Look, I'm telling you right now, we're probably going to go to war with Iran. Okay? They're saying maybe this weekend. I don't think so. It could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think if we do go to war, it'll be sometime next week. So that's why I'm holding off. I want to do the Olympics now because it'll be over by Sunday. And then we'll do Iran most likely on Monday. But my point is this. If the Democrats came out and said, we're for the war in Iran, Bill in Sudbury is for the war in Iran. If they come out and say, we're against the war in Iran, Bill in Sudbury is against the war in Iran. You have to understand, that's the Democratic rank and file. And I'm telling you, this is what's really scary. If they come out on Monday and say they're for the war in Iran, then Bill in Sudbury is for the war. If they come out on Tuesday and say, no, now we're against the war, then he's against the war. And if they come out Wednesday and say they're for the war, then he's for the war. Like, this is what you're dealing with. So nothing shames them. They have no standards whatsoever. It's the party. All right, Susie Joe messaged me a couple minutes ago. She says, no, Jeff, please don't do bobsledding. Why? Why shouldn't I do bobsledding? I'd be afraid you'd miss the sled when you tried to jump in. Talk about embarrassing. You know, that is true. I probably would miss the bobsled. I would miss the sled, or I'd like slip and fall. And then Mike would be like, Jeff. And then the bobsled just goes down. There's nobody in it. 617-266-6868. That's why I think I'm more of a luge man. You know? You just stick me on top of the luge. Just go down the ice, Jeff. And don't forget, curl your feet. Apparently, the way you curl your feet is how you control the luge or the sled as it goes down. You got to run and jump on top of the luge as well? Not the luge. On the luge as well? No, Mike, I've seen a couple. The what? Yeah, you're thinking of the skeleton, Mike. You know, I'm down the luge. You just sit and, you know, and the bigger and heavier you are, the better, and you just go right down the ice, my friend, and call yourself an Olympic athlete. You know, and I'd be great at training. I would be at McDonald's every freaking day, you know, chomping on Big Mac after Big Mac. You could have the Rocky music in the background. You know, people say, Kuhner, what are you doing, man? It's just a stack of empty boxes, Big Mac boxes everywhere. I'm in training, damn it. It's for my country. 617-266-6868. Mike, stupidest sport at the Olympics. What would you say? Mike, you got to think. There's such a competition. Mike has to think about it. Mike thinks that luge and bobsledding shouldn't even be considered a sport. That it's that easy, and frankly, you need no physical conditioning whatsoever to do it, according to Mike. 617-266-6868 is the number, but I suspect that's one of the reasons why people just don't watch the Olympics anymore. Because who wants to watch luge or bobsledding or that ski mountaineering, or it goes on and on and on. Rob in Norwood. Thanks for holding, Rob, and welcome.
Jeff.
Rob, how are you, my friend?
Hey, first of all, happy Good Friday, and to all the non-believers, Jesus' crucifixion redeemed ring signatures, Jeff, and I'll give you the insight after I've done it of what the people are saying to me. It's very, very interesting when I talk to a conservative or a moonbat.
Well, Rob, let me ask you this. When you see someone like Eileen Gu, how is she different? The way she rails against ICE, the way she rails against the United States, just woke position after woke position. How is she different from Michelle Wu? I'm being serious. You know, they're both pro-China. They're both rabidly anti-ICE. They're both pro-open borders. They're both radically anti-Trump. They're both radically pro-abortion. I mean, I'm just going to keep going and going. They're both very pro-DEI. They're both very pro-climate change. When you look at Eileen Gu and what she stands for, and Michelle Wu, what she stands for, it's almost like Eileen Gu, if she wants, could run for mayor of Boston and just pick up where Michelle Wu left off. Am I wrong, Rob?
The difference is Michelle Wu is an elected official, obviously, and the other person won it by skills. But I think the Olympic athlete, like that girl, Megan Rapinoe there, the soccer fool, she pulled the same stunt. I think they should say to these athletes, if you're going to represent the United States of America, you need to sign a disclaimer before you take this shirt from us. You don't get to take your selfish position, the narcissist and all that, to push a political agenda. You're with the United States or you're not. It's simple as that. It's like going to a restaurant. You sit down, Jeff, you want to eat, and they say, we don't serve Trump supporters. Put a sign on the door. I would have known that. But the good news, Jeff, is I'm down here grabbing the nomination signatures. Very interesting.
What do you mean? Interesting how, Rob?
When I talk to a conservative, I say, so what's your number one issue? And they all say the same thing. Oh, there's so many. So I've got a board now where you can pick and choose the top 3 or 4, you know. But when I get a moonbat coming at me, they immediately go with a personal attack. They start pointing the finger at me. And these people think they're so smart, Jeff. It's unbelievable. I said to this professor the other day who was coming down hard at me, I said, listen, Joe, you can go to Middlebury, you can go to BC, but always remember, without my money, you don't have a job. I don't need you, sir. And then he walked away, and he had to come back at the last word. They always have to come back and get the last word. I just put the hand up, Jeff, and say, you already had your shot. Hit the road, Jack.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And you're right. They think they're smart, and they're not. They're really not. And it's always some cheap shot. It's always insults. It's never logic, facts, evidence, nothing like that. So whenever Bill in Sudbury calls, as an example, you're a Nazi, I'm a Nazi, I'm a white supremacist, I'm a racist, it's the same garbage over and over. Or the audience is racist, or the audience is full of neo-Nazis, or the audience is full of white supremacists. And then when you say, can you give me evidence, he never has any evidence. You know, and then notice, but they act like you're their friend, like they're your friend, Rob. Have you noticed that? Like they'll act like polite, as they're calling you the most evil, vile names they could possibly think of. So really, I go back to this. What Michael Savage famously said many decades ago, liberalism is a mental disorder. It's a mental illness. And once you understand that, I think everything else falls into place. So when you run into that left-wing professor, you're not dealing with someone who's mentally right in the head. You're dealing with someone who's suffering from a serious mental illness. And once you understand that they're mentally ill, then you can deal with them. And I think we need to start really looking at liberals and saying, these are people with mental problems, mental health problems. And I think we should almost treat it therapeutically, because reasoning with them, there's no point. There really isn't. Rob, thank you so much for that call. As always, I appreciate it. 617-266-6868. And I want to go back to something that he said, because I agree with him. I think it's getting now to the point where, it's like good manners. As I said, you don't go to a funeral and start going on a political rant. If you're delivering the eulogy, for example, or you don't go to a wedding and you're giving a speech about the bride and the groom and you go into this political screed. Okay, it's not appropriate. It's wrong. I mean, you have the, quote, right to do it, of course, but it's disgraceful, it's wrong, it's insulting, it's offensive, it's shameful. But normally you require, you have good manners. Some things are just, it's just good manners. The way you're brought up, your upbringing. With these moonbats now, there are no more good manners. There's no more common sense. There's no more common decency. Now you need to have the lawyers get involved and have a piece of paper where they sign. And I agree with Rob. Every U.S. Olympian should now be forced to sign. If you want to compete, okay, you win the trials, you've earned the right to compete, fine. But you got to do one more thing. You have to sign a document that says you will not make political statements. You are not there to be a political activist. Shut up and skate. Shut up and ski. Win some medals. You want to talk about your sport. My sister sent me this text message on my personal phone out from Tucson, Arizona. Everybody's taking pot shots at the Kuhner man this morning, I'm like the Rodney Dangerfield of talk radio. I get no respect. So this is what my sister writes me. Jeff, if Big Mac eating becomes an Olympic sport, my money is on you. Yeah, Mike says that's more like a summer game than a winter game. I want you draped in the American flag while chowing down those 25 Big Macs. Jen, I don't think I can have more than 2, man. I mean, if I'm like, haven't eaten all day, you're forcing me. I could maybe do 3 Big Macs, but 2 and a large French fry, and I mean that's it. That's it. I can't, and a Diet Coke, obviously, because I'm watching my waistline. But 2 Big Macs, 1 large French fry, and that's about my limit. So 25 Big Macs. That's I can't play with the big boys, Jen. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, by the way, Mike still hasn't given me an answer on the least athletic sport at the Winter Olympics. He says it's down to bobsledding, luge, and curling. To which I said to Mike, well, Mike, say what you want. The curlers, it takes a tremendous amount of skill. Okay, that's number 1, and strategy. And have you noticed, and I don't know why, but have you noticed, I don't think I've seen one overweight curler, like from any country. They're all, for whatever reason, they tend to be quite thin. Like, have you seen the women's curling team, for example? I mean, they're all thin. They all look to me like they're in good shape. I'm not saying they're world-class athletes. But, they're thin. They're not overweight, that's for sure. You look at some of these guys on the luge. Hell, they give me a run for my money. I mean, some of those, they're overweight. Those are some big guys. So, believe me, the fat content is high. Let's just put it this way. So, I'm thinking luge, if you really had to press me, maybe, bobsledding second, curling third, but that's me. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from Tom. He wrote me an email about liberals and moonbats and their worldview and their mentality. And I think he hit the nail right on the head. Jeff, Rush Limbaugh used to say that liberals are liberals first. And everything else follows, including family, friends, career, everything. Once you understand that, it is a little clearer why they are so fanatical about their ideas. I have an uncle, my mother's brother, that I ran the Boston Marathon with in 1993. We were very close. He came to the house for dinner one night. He has a lot of gay friends. The discussion after dinner turned to the virtues of gay marriage. I disagreed. He looked me in the eye and said, quote, "If you are going to think like that, I am not going to be able to have anything to do with you anymore." And he left. This was 20 years ago, and we have not spoken since. He is a typical, intolerant, woke liberal. And that worldview, that ideology, takes precedence over everything. Liberalism truly is a mental disorder. Love your show. Please give Rocky a hug and a kiss for me. You got it. You got it. In fact, the Rockster will be with the Kuhner Man as I watch Team USA versus Slovakia later today. He likes to cuddle up beside me, and we're going to watch the game together. 617-266-6868. But you're completely right. I can't tell you how many woke liberals I've met that fit this description to a T. You disagree with them on same-sex marriage, and all of a sudden, and this is your blood. Okay? This is blood. It's your uncle. And they won't talk to you for decades. Over a disagreement, over an issue? Ay, ay, ay. 617-266-6868 is the number. Hal in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Hal, and welcome.
Jeff, how about hot dog eating contest? That's pretty athletic. If you can walk down about 100 of those things, man. And you can do it year round. It doesn't have to be just in the winter.
Well, that's true. That's Joey Chestnut. That's his territory.
Hey, communist China, as you know, is the worst regime in the history of the world. And we're talking, 1948, and they've never renounced Mao and all the horrible things he did. Religious repression is there. It's just a miserable place. How would anyone be proud to represent that nation is beyond me. And by the way, they don't like people sneaking into the country, too. They put you in jail, although they should put you in a psychiatric ward, because who would want to sneak into communist China, right?
Well, Hal, let me ask you this, because you're a constitutionalist. How do you feel about Eileen Gu? Here she is. She's got Chinese citizenship. She was obviously born and raised in America, but she wants to represent China. She's defending them. She's representing them at the Olympics. She often goes back to China. She lives here, but she does go there quite often. And she's telling the Chinese, no, I'm Chinese. I'm a Chinese citizen, and my allegiance is to China. And China, as you know, has a law on the books. You can't be a dual citizen. You can't be both a Chinese citizen and a citizen of the United States or any other country. Should we strip her citizenship? I'm just curious. I know, the answer is going to be, well, that's up to the Chinese because she's breaking Chinese law. In the United States, you can have dual citizenship. But if you're going to pledge allegiance to a hostile foreign power that is our mortal enemy, and obviously you're siding with them over us. I mean, treason is treason is treason. And should that not cost her citizenship? What say you?
You're a naturalized citizen. Didn't you have to renounce any allegiance to a foreign country when you became a U.S. citizen?
How do I say this? I mean, I'm still technically a Canadian citizen. I haven't renewed my passport in 15 years. But no, how do I say this? I pledge allegiance to America. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the Constitution. But technically, I can still remain a Canadian citizen. So you don't have to renounce your allegiance to another country. I think you should. Don't get me wrong, Hal. I think you should. But you can be a naturalized American and still keep citizenship from the country that you came from.
You would have to. You can still be proud of your nation of origin, but you have to disavow any allegiance to that state. But he wrote a horrible book, I think, called The People's History, and that is a primary textbook in many of these government schools and some of these private prep schools. And it promotes hatred of America. It's historically inaccurate. It's called Debunking Howard Zinn.
We just lost Hal. Okay, Hal, it's nothing on our end. This was on your end. No, we had Mary Graybar on. It wasn't for Howard Zinn. It was for something else. She's excellent. I think her work is phenomenal. And you're right. Howard Zinn is a Marxist. Okay, he's let's put it this way, a man of the hard, very far anti-American left. And his textbook, it's basically hate America from very inception to the present day. That's the book. Basically, America is an evil empire. Okay, it's the evil empire view of America. The mullahs in Tehran love Howard Zinn. That just tells you everything you need to know. Marxists, communists, the Chinese Communist Party love Howard Zinn. And this book now is in very many public schools, high schools. This is what they teach our kids. Private prep schools. They hand it out like candy at college campuses. And it's an indoctrination manual. That's what it is. It's not an actual history textbook. It's a communist, anti-American, woke indoctrination manual. And it's all about America is evil. America is bad. You should hate America. And that's where a lot of these, I think Aaron in Nevada nailed it. the current crop of athletes, let's just take Eileen Gu, but there's so many of them, these woke U.S. Olympians, or in her case, she's Chinese now, okay, so she's representing China. But they've all been brainwashed by Howard Zinn. I guarantee you they read Howard Zinn. Okay, they either read Howard Zinn in college, they certainly read him in high school. So they have been brainwashed, literally indoctrinated, to hate their country to the point that they're so programmed, it's so deeply marinated in their brain that it's almost like compulsive now. They have to like denounce and denounce and denounce. They can't stop denouncing. So even when they're at the Olympics, and just stand back objectively, okay? Again, I don't care about individual sports, or this is not a sports show. I'm talking culture. You're at the Olympics. Usually for most athletes, you only get one crack at it. I know there are some who compete over many Olympics, but for the most part, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. You're there, in theory, to win a medal, preferably the gold medal. Shouldn't you be, just from a common sense point of view, as an athlete, 100% totally focused on doing your best? Focused on your sport, focused on the competition, okay, say it's skiing, on the race, and nothing else matters. At that moment, nothing else should matter. Why would you want any distractions? Never mind going in front of the press and running down and bashing your country, and then having reporters ask you further questions, and then you get this big backlash on social media, and then you start debating and arguing with people on social media, and then what all these athletes have said and done is, I have a platform, and this platform has enabled me to speak out on all the evils and injustices in Trump's America. Are you even thinking about your race at this point? Now, if you want to know why, I'll tell you right now. We're number 2 in the medal count. Norway, tiny Norway is number 1 in the medal count. Numero uno. By the way, the Norwegians collaborated with the Nazis during World War II. But why, Jeff, are you mentioning this? Do you see Norwegian athletes? Oh, I'm so ashamed. Oh, how we collaborated. How dare we collaborate? Oh, the history, the stain of fascism. Oh, my God. Norway has a huge problem with illegal migrants, especially Muslim migration. So one athlete after another could be for the Muslims coming in, could be against the Muslims coming in. It is a very divisive issue in Norway. Do you think the Norwegian athletes are like, I'm ashamed of my government? Oh my God, they're stopping the migration of Muslims. It's racist, it's xenophobic. It's not who we are. They're focusing on winning. And they're racking up medal after medal after medal after medal. Hell, they're kicking our ass. The last time I checked, what is it? They had 34 medals. We had 27 medals. Italy's at 26. Okay, this was as of last night. We just surpassed the Italians. We should be the number 1 country in terms of medals. We should be dominating the Winter Olympics. This should be a record medal haul for us. And I think a key reason is you've got so many athletes, you're not focusing on your job. You're distracted by your woke politics. It's so obvious. So maybe take that skater, the one who went on about how LGBTQ rights are diminishing under Trump. They're not. But what does this have to do with you skating on the ice? But it was a big social media brouhaha, huge backlash. Then she referred to herself and one of her lesbian lovers or whatever. You guys just can't stand. This was her words, not mine, her words. Two woke bitches. That's what she said at the Olympics before she's competing. Well, she finished, what was it, 13th or 14th? And she's bawling her eyes out after she finished 13th or 14th. And all I'm thinking is, well, maybe if you spent more time focusing on skating instead of pushing your woke LGBTQ anti-Trump agenda and giving pressers and arguing with people on social media and using your quote-unquote platform, I don't know, maybe you would have meddled. I'm just thinking out loud. Like, hello? So even from a self-interested point of view, don't you want to win a medal? Big endorsements come with medals. Hello? Nope. So they've become so brainwashed and so indoctrinated, it's almost like it's compulsive. They can't stop. It's like what they're doing, what the Chinese are doing to the Uyghurs. They're literally programming them or reprogramming them. So they're taking them out to Western China, and it's nonstop brainwashing at these concentration camps. You should be ashamed to be Uyghur. Ban the Uyghur language. Ban the Uyghur religion. Ban Uyghur culture. You should hate yourself. Hate yourself. Hate yourself. Hate yourself. Hate yourself. Rinse, wash, repeat. And that's what's happened to so many of these people in our public school system. And I think that's what you're getting now. And I think it's only going to get worse. And here's my prediction. Okay? This is now. This is 2026. The Summer Olympics in 2028 are coming to the United States, to LA. Forget the fact that it looks like LA may not even be ready. Okay, let that go. Just let that go. You think these woke athletes, in the midst of an election year, with Trump still in office? Because remember, the election is going to be in November 2028. With this mega platform to spout off, it's going to be what you're seeing now times 10 on steroids. It's not going to be the Olympics. It's going to be the mother of all woke fests. And it's going to be every day, this athlete said this, that athlete said that. That's all it's going to be. No one's going to even care about watching the Olympics. And it's going to be controversy, division, argument, polarization. So if you think it's bad now, it's only going to get worse. And that's why I'm telling you, there's only one way to fix this problem in the short term. The long term, we got to take our education system back. But in the short term, sign a piece of paper. I mean, I'm sorry, here, a contract. Okay, yeah, you've earned the right now to represent the United States. You should be extremely proud, but you woke idiots aren't. But that's okay, that's your business. But here, leave your wokeism at the door. Whatever, track and field, whatever you're competing in, I don't care, okay? Whatever, water polo, whatever the sport is, I don't care. Here it is. You will not talk politics in any way, shape, or form during the Olympics. You make a single political statement, you will be out. And you will be replaced by someone else who wants to represent his or her country. That's the only way to do it. And if they're not careful, in about 10, 15, I'm telling you, the viewership is down. Viewership is way down. You keep this up, another 10, 15 years, you're going to ruin and destroy the Olympics like these moonbats and these woke liberals have destroyed everything else. Everything they touch, they destroy. What haven't they ruined? Entertainment, music, sports, university, academia, college. Take your pick. Whatever they touch, they destroy, because everything has to be politicized. Everything. Friendships, family, you name it. Ideology comes first. Everything else comes second. Now, if they're not, they've already pretty much ruined the NBA. NBA ratings are way down, professional basketball. Why? Because we're sick and tired of seeing you people kneel and protest the flag. You're making $15, $20, $25 million a year, and you're going on about racism? Blank off. So it's already affecting professional sports. Now, I'm telling you, if they don't watch themselves, the Olympics is going to go right down the drain. I don't want to watch woke people lecture me about stuff they have no idea what they're talking about. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very, very quick. I got a very good message, very well-informed message from Anita on Messenger. And she made the point, well, Jeff, I'm a little bothered by your statement about Norway, that the government collaborated with the Nazis during World War II. The king opposed the Nazis, which is true. The government at the time opposed the Nazis, which is true, and then fled to England. So the Norwegians did put up resistance. It was broken. It was shattered. And the government went into exile the way the Poles did or others. So that is all true. And then they established what's a government by Quisling. Literally, the term a Quisling government, that comes from Quisling, who was installed by the Nazis in Norway. Now, the left in Norway, in 10 seconds, the left in Norway has made a big deal, I think grossly exaggerated, personally, but how many alleged Norwegians collaborated with Quisling? It's a stain. Norway is at heart, or was, a fascist country. In other words, the left has used that to run down Norway. That was my only point. And by the way, there's a huge, very divisive issue regarding immigration, Muslim migration. It has split Norway like other countries in Europe. My only point is, at the Olympics, even the liberal athletes, for Norway, they're not going on about Quisling and fascism and who collaborated with who and the migration issue. Are they for open borders? Are they against Muslim migration? My country's a racist country. My country's an intolerant country, whatever. None of that. There's not a political word that comes out of their mouth, to their credit. Why? Because they're there to represent their motherland. They're there to represent Norway and the Norwegian people and the Norwegian nation and the Norwegian homeland. And to their credit, they are killing it at the Olympics. And honestly, I think one of the reasons is patriotism, real patriotism and civic pride, and they're focused on the sport. Like, whatever their political opinions are. And I'm sure, look, a lot of Norwegian athletes, I'm sure there are conservatives, there are liberals, there are those on the right, those on the left. Who cares? We're all Team Norway. We're here to win. And we're here to get as many medals as possible. Our side, not so much. That was my only point, Anita. 617-266-6868 is the number. Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome. Boy, you can hear that coming from northern Italy, Bruce, especially from Team USA, our head, our residents there. Boy, from where our athletes are located, it's howl after howl after howl. We're a racist country. Our past slavery, this is not who we are, ICE, immigration, abortion. They just don't shut up. LGBTQ, it just doesn't end. Trump. It just doesn't end. So, Bruce, I got to ask you, what do you make of all this, my friend?
I got 2 points to make. That guy, Aaron, that called,
yes.
I told Mike that they should have a Caller of the Year award. He gets it with me. Wasn't he unbelievable?
It was an incredible call. I mean, I don't know. Bruce, Caller of the Year. We get some phenomenal calls, but I do like that. Since we're all talking about the Olympics competition, I think at the end of the year, we should have like an award ceremony, like a radio award ceremony, and I think one of the categories should be not just Caller of the Week, Caller of the Year. And so every week, everyone that's a Caller of the Week should then be put like into a radio bag. Mike can go over it. If Mike wants, we can form a committee, although Mike won't like that, but let that go because he loves the power. But let that go. And then, we decide best Caller of the Year. I like that. Maybe we can do funniest Caller of the Year, worst Caller of the Year. And like the Olympics, and have some fun. What do you think, Bruce?
Here's what I think about this goo girl. Now, we have Elizabeth Warren, the fake Indian. We got Goo, the fake American. She's disgusting. Anybody that puts down this country, you work someplace and you go to a conference and you even say one bad word about your company or something that you dislike, you're not entitled to. You're getting paid to do something. You're supposed to be there for the company. Well, this is our country. If you don't have anything good to say about the country, then don't go represent us. Go to hell.
I agree. Really, honestly, I so agree. To me, it's just such common sense. I mean, if you hate your country that much that you can't even control yourself and prevent yourself from bad-mouthing it when you're representing your nation, and this is not some little dinky event. This is, the eyes of the world are on the Olympics. This is the biggest stage in the world. And you just can't keep your mouth shut? Then I'm sorry. Again, I go back, love it or leave it. Joining us now, as she always does at this time, she is the co-founder, CEO, and president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. Retirement income today is layered. Traditional IRAs, 401ks, Roth accounts, brokerage accounts, and each one is taxed a little differently. What many people don't realize is that even a single withdrawal can influence your tax bracket, your Medicare premiums, or how other income is treated. And when those moving parts are not coordinated, that's when hesitation sets in. Not because people don't have resources, but because they don't want unexpected tax surprises. Confidence in retirement often comes from understanding how those income sources are designed to work together under today's rules. Although we are not tax advisors and we do recommend speaking with a tax professional, a thoughtful distribution strategy can help you stay more intentional about what you keep, not just what you withdraw. If you'd like to take a closer look look at how your income is structured, give us a call or send us an email at kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I'll continue this conversation tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or visit our website for the Radio Rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you, Kelly. All the best to you and everyone at Kelly Financial. If you want to get in touch with them, the number to call, 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or you can actually email Kelly herself personally, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. That's kelly@kellyfinancial.org. 9:33 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. There are a couple lines open. If you want to jump on, now is the time to do it. 617-266-6868. This is from Dottie on Messenger, and I think she makes a really good point about all these woke U.S. Olympians just trashing their own country, bad-mouthing the United States, and constantly injecting politics at the Olympics and nonstop criticism, whether it be of Trump or ICE or whatever, any issue or policy that they don't like regarding what's happening now in our nation. And Dottie makes this point. Jeff, imagine being a salesman for a Ford dealer who tells prospective customers how terrible Ford vehicles are, but how wonderful Chevys, Toyotas, etc. are. Bingo. Bingo. It's exact. That's the perfect analogy. She nailed it. You know, like, you're representing your country. Could you at least, try to do it? Try to do it with some dignity and some pride and some class? 6-1. And by the way, you notice when Olympians from other countries, when they win the gold medal, okay, even in, Mike, is it ski mountaineering? Is that the name of the sport again? Yeah, the new one. Okay. It was won, the male's side was won by a guy from Spain. Okay. So the Spanish won that one. He's on the gold medal podium. I was watching this last night. He's crying. I mean, God bless him. I'm not mocking him or nothing. Far from it. Tears of joy. He's got tears in his eyes. He's singing the national anthem of Spain. He's so proud to be representing Spain. You think this guy goes on about, the conquistadors. Our colonial history. What we did. The oppression. Oh, my God. We should be so ashamed. They'd run him out of Spain. They'd say, what is wrong with you, dude? So what I'm saying is, other Olympians from other countries, they're proud. I'm not saying there aren't Americans. There are plenty of Americans. That's why I led with the U.S. women's hockey team. They were beaming, smiling ear to ear and tearing up at the national anthem and representing their country. It was a beautiful thing to watch. But what I'm saying is, you've got these woke U.S. Olympic athletes, these leftists, and you're just trashing and trashing and trashing and trashing. And you've got everyone else, they're crying tears of joy to represent their country, especially if they win a medal, never mind the gold medal. So it's like you're working for a dealership, GM, Ford, whatever, and you're saying, Ford vehicles suck. They suck. Why aren't you going to the Mazda dealership? You should go to Mazda. Mazda's better. They're better over there. It's the same thing with these athletes. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. 617-266-6868. It's an embarrassment for Uzbekistan. For, Latvia. I'm not trying to pick on the Latvians. What I'm saying is, small countries in the world. Never mind for the greatest country in the history of the world. It's a slap in the face. Al in Billerica. Thanks for holding, Al, and welcome.
Hey, how are you, Jeff? How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Al?
Excellent, thank you. I've got a couple of points that I want to make. I want to specifically address Eileen Gu. But before that, because you talk so much about you on the bobsled and competing and getting that gold medal, this is what came to mind when you said that, Jeff. Remember the wild world of sports?
Yes.
Remember the beautiful opening scene with the music and the skier crashes and they say the agony of defeat? Well, I envision you on the bobsled coming off the tracks and that music playing in the agony of defeat. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, Jeff.
Al, what about the luge? Do you think, you think I could, Mike thinks I could compete for the luge. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. The way you describe your body type, you may be scraping on the ground. I don't know, man. But listen, if we want to criticize any sport, let's criticize bocce on ice. Come on, give me a break.
Oh, you mean curling, right? Yeah, it's true. It's very similar to bocce. You're right. That's a very good way to put it. It's bocce on ice. That is very true. I think I could do curling. What do you think?
Big ice blocks, definitely. So Jeff, I don't mean to be mean to you. So here's my point, and it's a very important point. Eileen Gu, I could care less about her. Yes, she's a disgrace, 100% absolutely. But let's forget about her, not pay her any attention, because the individual that we should be paying attention to is Alyssa Liu. She won the gold medal. Now, there's a huge story behind her, and you've got to look it up. So she won the gold medal in freestyle. Just a beautiful kid, gracious. Her family came from China. Her father went into exile in the late 80s because he supported the democracy movement there. And she won the gold for the U.S. Why don't we focus on someone like her and tell her story? And let's forget about Eileen Gu with the millions of dollars. Who cares?
Well, and just to add, you're right, by the way. I think this Alyssa Liu is an incredible athlete, a great American, and a great skater. And my wife is a big fan of skating in general. That's the one thing she loves to watch in the Olympics. Grace loves skating, just anything. Ice dancing, skating, men's, women's, pairs, couples. That's her thing. That's what she watches. I'm frankly more of a hockey guy, and I know this sounds crazy, Al, but I have this hypnotic fascination with curling. I don't know why. I should not just watch it. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what it is. But anyway, we're the hockey. We're hockey. Ash and I are into the hockey. But long story short, she went to Beijing. And when they were in Beijing 4 years ago, the communists were actually spying on her and on her father. So the Chinese Communist Party was literally spying on them and trying to intimidate her and threaten her when they were in China. So you're right. She comes from a Chinese family. They're dissidents. Her father was part of Tiananmen Square. And look at this. It's an American dream. It's an American dream. They went from being oppressed, literally oppressed. Her father was almost murdered by the regime. They were spied on by the regime. And this woman turns in a performance for the ages and wins the gold medal. Honestly, I hope for her nothing but the best. I hope she gets a ton of endorsements, and I'd love to see her face on a Wheaties box. Because to me, that's the story of America. And I'm so happy you brought it up. Al, thank you very much. So, and if you haven't seen her performance, Alyssa Liu, Liu, it was, honestly, I'm not a skating guy, but I'm telling you, she hit it out of the park. It was graceful. It was beautiful. Tim in South Dennis. Thanks for holding, Tim, and welcome.
Jeff, my friend, I love you in a non-sexual manner, as always.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Listen, we want to win a gold medal. We're thinking, Mike and I, we're thinking bobsled. All right, can you bobsled? Can you help us? We'll be the weight in the middle. The second and the third guy. You just run on the sled and then you hunker down? But we need somebody to drive the sled. Can you drive the sled, Tim?
Well, I may not be the poster boy for physical fitness anymore, but not like I ever was, but I'll certainly try.
But that's what we're looking for, Tim. We don't want a poster boy for physical fitness. It's the bobsled, for God's sake.
Okay, why not? Count me in.
We need as much weight on that sled as possible, Tim. The bigger, the better.
Well, absolutely. These idiots that are over here trashing America, maybe while they're over there, someone should take them on a tour of those camps like Dachau or Auschwitz, and then take them on a tour of the American cemetery over Omaha Beach. To people that have been, first of all, show you what real evil looks like. But I'll tell you, people have been in combat. I'll tell you, 81 years ago, our Marines were fighting on Iwo Jima, probably the hardest battle they've been in their history. But they'll tell you two things, combat veterans. If you talk to them, one, the only thing that matters after a bit isn't what the president thinks or anyone else thinks. It's the man on your left and the man on your right. And they'll also tell you seeing that flag means something to them. So how dare these woke idiots go over there and talk about, well, America sucks, or I don't like Donald Trump. It's like, what do you know about sacrifice or anything?
Oh, you're dead on.
Yeah,
and Tim, and I promise I'll give you the final word, but just to reinforce what you're saying, you're going for the throat, and you should. You're saying, hey, go to Dachau, go to Auschwitz, or go to Omaha Beach, and look at those, the cemetery that they have of all those Americans who died. Don't even do that. Just get out of your village at the Olympics and just talk to ordinary Italians about what life is like in Italy now. Now. Here, Grace has family in Italy. Okay, my wonderful wife. She has a very dear friend that lives and works in Italy. She's Italian. Okay, her friend is born and raised in Italy. She works for a company. This is common in Italy. Actually, it's common in Europe. She will not speak out about politics at all in the office. Why? Because if someone finds out that you oppose the current party in power, you're going to lose your job. Like, this is very common in Italy. So they're like, Italians marvel at the freedom we have in America, where they say, you mean like you can just trash Donald Trump at work and you keep your job? Or you trash Joe Biden at work? Like, they couldn't believe it. Like when I was, bashing Biden. And her Italian friends were like, in Italy, they would have fired. Jeff would have been fired. That's it. There's nothing else to say. iHeart would have fired him. Like, that's just how it is in Italy. By the way, that's how it is in many European countries. So what you say at home, that's something else. But at the workplace, you go up against the party in power, you're lucky to keep your job. So I'm just saying, talk to Italians, and they'll tell you how hard life is, how unaffordable life is, how much less freedom they have there, how they can't believe how much freedom we have here. And so, in other words, see the world a little bit, and you'll see how privileged and lucky you are to be an American. Tim, please, final word to you. Just on a small matter like this, okay? At work, do you criticize, can you even talk politics and criticize the leader of your country without potentially jeopardizing your job?
Well, I think in America, it really all depends on where you are. Like if you're opposed to Trump, you can say all you want. If you like Donald Trump, that's when you got to kind of be guarded, because that's when people start filing complaints that they feel offended and all that kind of stuff. So you do have more freedom than anywhere else in the world, and I'll stand by this. I think this is the greatest nation the earth has ever seen. God bless it. God bless you, and I'm proud to call you a fellow American, my friend.
Oh,
and I'll see you on the bobsledding trail.
Tim, God bless you, and thank you for your service. You know how much I love you, vets. We have the greatest Constitution. We had the greatest founding. I'm sorry. It's the truth. We have the greatest founding fathers. We have the greatest Constitution. We have the greatest country in the history of the world. Are we perfect? Of course not. Nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect. Okay, except for God. But it's as close to perfect as you can get. And no one comes close. They don't come close. So if you can't represent this country with pride and stand up for our anthem with pride, then you tell me what country and what flag can you? So you're an ingrate. That's what you are. You're an ingrate. 617. That's what I say to all these woke athletes. 617-266-6868. Karen in Tewksbury. Thanks for holding, Karen, and welcome.
Oh, I absolutely love you. And I've been listening to you for years. And I hate to dash your hopes and your dreams, but the very, very last medal you could ever win is with the luge or the bobsled. I know that you have.
You're kidding.
Oh, it's a sport of subtlety. If you twitch your little toe, it sends you 45 degrees off. Then that you have that slide, that big air on skis. But let me tell you, it smashed. The other thing, though, that I would really say, if you did smash down, when they were carried out on a stretcher, you'd be pumping your fist and saying, "God bless America," and "God bless you, Jeff Kuhner." Love you.
Gee, boy, Karen, I didn't know you were such a doubter. No, you're right. I probably suck at the bobsled and the luge. Karen, thank you very, very much for that call. I mean, Mike, what do you think? Maybe if they do like a snowman competition, maybe, build an igloo. What do you think, Mike? Huh? I think maybe we can do that. I don't know. A snowball competition, maybe.